Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Holistic-Yogi podcast. And I am Kamala Ingrid, your host. And today's guest, I'm happy to have him on. His name is Gary Reid, our current managing partner and hydration expert of H2O, former professional football player also, and business entrepreneur, former CEO of Center One Solutions, former COO of Income Holdings, former
Holdings,
director
yeah.
of Avaya
Yep.
Communications, who I am happy to have now on the show. So thank you for coming and being part of the show. And go ahead and introduce us a little bit about yourself and how you got from being a football player to where you are today.
Well, Ingrid, I've always been, as being a football player, you seek to be the best.
Right.
And it happens, there's no different than when it comes to life and your health. You want to make sure that you're doing the best because what else do you have after you leave, when it's time? You want to be around as long as you can for your kids, your family. And, so that's the driving factor for myself.
Correct.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
That- yeah. So, with that, all the other business ventures that I've dabbled in has always been around creating something special to give back to the community that people can benefit from, not just, a business to make money and all that stuff. It was always in an effort to give back. And so H2O came along about, I think it's been
Right,
about
right here.
5 years. Yeah, it's been about a couple of years now. Um, and after we acquired the technology to extract the source of our product, which is from deep seawater, ocean seawater,
Mm-hmm.
which is great because we don't have to manufacture that. We allow nature to drive that supply for us. So as long as we take care of the environment, not pollute the earth too much, the source remains intact and it continues to give. So, going at the depths of 250 to 1500 meters and receiving this stuff and being able to bottle it, it's, first we had to go through the whole testing process to make sure that the quality was on point, the minerals and its current status on the periodic table was on point, and being able to consume it, that we didn't have any factors there, issues there.
Right.
And so after years and years of going through this and people using it and seeing the benefits from it, we felt it was time to bring this thing to market, to the mainstream.
Yeah.
Originally, we were we were producing this for plant agriculture, and then we saw that was, simple to use it for human consumption, and that's kind of opened up the Pandora's box, if you will, of where we are um, as humanity. Where we are, using water. It gave me a whole new perspective on water, and we came to the realization that water is no longer water in its natural form. It's just a form of transportation, it's a vehicle. And sometimes you may have a vehicle that's great, and then sometimes you may have an old jalopy.
You're right, a
And
lemon.
yeah, lemon, yeah. And so we have gone from the prestigious of all levels of vehicles to now we are, panhandling around jalopies and saying, "Hey, try this, is great." And so with that, the quality of the minerals that you would consume in a high quality water, if we were to go back in time, it's no longer there.
Right.
You know, um, with man evolving as we do, we always find ways to monetize something, and so whoever it was, I forgot the gentleman or the company that decided to take our water that we use, uh, both for cooking and other sources, and reuse that. Um, you know, it ended up stripping all the negative parts from the water, but also took all the great parts of the water. And so our source of natural resources of the process of the water coming from the sky and going through the mountains and the earth and going through its own filtering process and cleaning and charging, going through the rocks, getting the minerals. All of that stopped. There's only rare places that you can find that today.
That's true.
And so they started talking of the fountain of youth. And what it is the water was so pure and it was loaded with minerals that your body automatically knew what to do with it once it was consumed. You didn't have to go to a doctor or speak to a specialist. The body, your body in itself is its own specific surgeon and to know how to repair itself. You just have to give it the environment to do so.
That is true.
Um, so with that said, we kind of started, looking into the dynamics of hydration on a whole, hydration with professional athletes, hydration with how we're consuming our daily consumption of liquids. What are we drinking on a regular basis? And you will find that majority of the folks out there rarely ever drink a gallon or half a gallon, forget a gallon, a half a gallon of pure water in its natural state, loaded with minerals.
Right.
Everything else is juices, which is high in sugar, sodas, which is,
Terrible.
terrible, and all the other drinks. And then we go out at night and consume alcohol, which is the worst thing
Or
you can do
sugar.
or sugar, because the alcohol just dehydrates the body overall, right?
Coffee.
So
Where we say coffee. We're
yeah, coffee,
consumers
yeah,
of coffee. A lot of people here drink too much coffee, so that's dehydrating the body. We don't even take the
right,
first spot. A lot of people don't drink water when waking
right.
up, which is
Hmm.
important.
No, but the first thing we hit is coffee, and then they'll come up with their own ideas of what the coffee does for you. And yeah, so we kind of see like, wow, we have something here. And so we went and got it tested, and officially got all the things that we needed to know that was in the product. And I can say right now, H2O Infusion Inc. is the only company that's producing a solution where we can say on the periodic table, we have 70% of the minerals in this solution. And if you were to add 10 drops to about 12-ounce bottle of alkaline water or high alkaline water, your body is going to love you for it. And you feel the difference. It's not one of these, take this for 30 days and eventually you'll feel something, right?
No,
And so,
I love it. I'll be honest with you, Gary. When you gave me that bottle, I started right away and
mhm,
I even did the 10 drops. And I'm big on the whole thing with belly blow, digestion, the third chakra,
right.
that as a, yogi, and also very much about getting to the root of the problem. And one
Mhm,
of the things I notice is very much this is one of the things that it is digestive health, right?
yep, yep,
Awesome for
yep.
that. And I've noticed also because of my running around here and there, one of the things that I tend to do is tax myself sometimes where I have to carry one of these. And if I don't carry
Mhm,
these with me and I
mhm,
forget it,
mhm,
I go without
mhm,
drinking anything. And then I'm like dehydrated. So I'm one of those. And this has been very, very good for me where I take it in 10 drops because I'm
mhm.
constantly first thing in the morning. I go, well, I have to go and train a client. So I'm working out with them. Then I come back and then I go back again. I eat something and then or I have a smoothie. So this has been very helpful for me because
Right.
that's the first
I
thing I do
mean,
is I take 10 drops. And honestly, one of my things that I had was lack of going to the bathroom. I had a
wow.
hard time. Constipation was big for me because that is one of my things. That's why the 10-day belly blow came through for me because it was something that I needed to do for myself. And then now I
Mhm,
put it to the public.
mhm,
It's not a fad. It's a very effective way of eating and
mhm.
rehydrating the body and resetting the body through digestion, detoxing, fat loss and excess fat loss, and also rebooting the immune system. So, and that's what usually keeps me floating. But this,
Right.
this is
Uh,
awesome.
and the funny thing is, after seeing you and going through the active release therapy with the balls, If you got balls, you'll try it, as you said. um, it was almost like the most intense deep tissue massage that I've ever received, where I was literally able to get all those knots in those hard to reach areas. But the biggest thing with the uh, session was after it's done, you need to replenish your body with liquids, with hydration, because you release all those toxins. And that's what people forget.
Yeah.
When you go to a masseuse and you are there for an hour or whatever, all those toxins that they release from your lymph system is sitting there that you got to flush out.
Right.
And the best way to do that is hydrating with minerals that your body needs to now repair. Because you got to think, you just went through an hour or 45 minutes breaking up scar tissue and all this stuff. And now your body's in the process of what? Repairing now.
Preparing.
What are you going to give it? What are you going to give it? And so giving it a high quality source of liquid like H2O, now it begins to repair itself at a very accelerate, and you can feel the difference.
Yeah.
And then you have those added benefits, like you mentioned, with gut health.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot depending on the person, everyone is different. So
Exactly.
depending on the person, the product is going to impact them at different levels towards their deficiency, right? So the pH balance of whatever's going on with the gut, boom, it targets that, boom, you're gonna see the difference. Some people wake up and like, man, I felt so energized. I slept all night, woke up, I was, high. It affects everyone a little different. And
Exactly.
so I always ask folks to, try it before you buy it, right?
Right. Right.
And the response has been out of this world. We've had people who are suffering from, so anything that deals with, you know, taking things away from the body that the body needs, dehydration, it's an impact. So we've had people who have gone, had chemotherapy, um, COVID, and the doctors themselves even said the best thing you could do to fight COVID is to stay hydrated.
Right.
How are you going to stay hydrated if the water that you're drinking is flat water?
We
One of
got
the
to say
biggest,
something. I
yeah.
wanted to do it, but Florida water is not the best water, and a lot of people drink
Mm-mm.
that tap water. That's garbage,
Mm-hmm. Big
and
time.
big time. So it's very important for them, for us to have that, because it's not like going to New York or something. When you drink the tap water, it's very
Mm-hmm.
different. It tastes it a
Mm-hmm.
lot fresher than the stuff that we have here. And a lot of people I've
Mm-hmm.
seen today, still some people drink out of that tap.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what does that do to
And
our bodies?
so it really ties in to all factors of life, right? And who will be a great candidate to use this? Everybody, from your baby to the kids to the senior, especially the senior adult population, because they're the ones that are dealing with the bone health, the digestive health, low, high blood pressure, heart
Brain health,
health,
right? Brain
yeah,
health too.
brain health. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you look at what it takes for the human brain to communicate to the rest of the body to function properly, it's minerals. And
Yeah.
a lack of that shuts it down. So that's why I often try to tell people is like, consider yourself to be a phone company. And you have these high fancy lines out here that, high 5G or whatever, sending stuff back and forth. And then over a period of time, those lines get deteriorated because you're sending the wrong type of signal. Now, in H2O perspective, you're drinking the wrong type of water. You have some athletes who are over flushing themselves with the flat acidic type of water, and instead of hydrating, they have a reverse effect, and the organs shut down. They find themselves not being so healthy after their retirement. So those are the driving factors that kind of, we started to create this product as a high end product for the superhuman, the athlete, the one that's going to, give it all, until the heart stops. And then we find that it's a huge benefit for everybody because everybody's an athlete in its own right.
Right.
Every day that you have to get up to go to work, compete against your whoever it is to, make that bread to bring it home, you have to be in top, function. It's just not going to work.
Right.
And that's how we see that this thing is impacting so many different people across the board. So now we have a strong followers of folks who got involved with it because they had COVID. And we have all the other communities that are dealing with different health ailments that are coming to us, just to use it as a natural home health alternative versus the different type of medications that they, would be exposed to. And really, that just gives us the passion to continue to create relationships, continue to promote the product in any which way we can, effectively, efficiently, that is going to help the masses.
Nice. So how many, like for each like for children, what is the dose? I know the adults like us is 10 drops. Say they're sick. A child, how
A
early would you
child,
take it?
yeah, a child will, if you cut that in half, right? It's not going to hurt them if they drink a little more because kids, oftentimes they're the one running around
Yeah.
nonstop, and they're not, they're drinking the AIDS. I don't want to put the full word out there, but they're drinking the AIDS of the world, and the vitamin waters of the world, but they're really not getting the right resource. And we have seen it where we have a few teams that the kids, they use our water as their resource of hydration,
Hmm.
and they perform better versus the other kids who are not drinking that type of stuff. And we've had kids come over like, man, what is it that you're drinking? Because, and not for nothing, we've seen them um, drink like the very dangerous stuff for adults to drink just because they're getting ready for a game. And it's just not, we had to put a stop in that and deal with the organization to make sure that they're exposed to healthy stuff, healthy resources. And we didn't necessarily put our name in the pot as a resource. We just said, here are the resources to go if you want to find healthy drinking solutions. And we gave what we would consider our competition, but they ended up choosing our product because of its effectiveness.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I like it. I really did. I think my first experience with it completely, like when I remember you said if you feel a little bit, and I remember waking up a little bit when the weather was changing. I said
Mhm.
I had that kind of like tickle in the back of my throat. I was like waking up and coughing a hat, and I was like, oh, now you know what? Let me
Right.
go with that. I took 10 drops, and
Mhm.
normally I would take oregano drops, but those are harsh.
Mhm.
So
Right. 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 Right.
but I said, let me take this, and I ended up taking that, and within like I say under 10 minutes, the cough stopped.
Cough up.
I went back to bed, woke up the next morning, like nothing, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this thing works. I was so happy because I think I saw you that morning.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, this really think this thing works, and I
Yeah.
get happy when I find things like that because I am not one to really get sick at all. It's very
Mhm.
rare for me to get sick, and if I do, it's a 1 day thing, and then I snap out of it. But very rarely do I get sick. I always keep
Mhm.
myself immune system boosted as much as I can.
Right. If you can catch the cycle on where the immune system drops and you start to, because all of these things, we have it in our systems,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The cold, the flu,
Well, for
we
me,
have
it's
it.
that time of the month that hits
Hmm.
me. So when I'm hitting that time, I know I have to fuel up because that's when I'm
Hmm.
easy to to catch something, or I'm easy because my immune
Right.
system usually drops just because it's that cycle. And so
Hmm.
my cycle always, depletes me, and so I find myself, okay, I take a little TLC, I take some time, not to push myself so hard. I take
Hmm.
time to, eat a little bit more of the stuff that is a little bit, nutrition, a little extra,
Hmm.
just to boost my immune system up. And I'll end up taking then the oregano and things like that, just so I keep myself, especially if the weather is under or cold, or just depending on
Right.
the time
Right.
of the
Right.
season.
Yeah. I mean, if you can catch it on that downswing where your immune system is dropping, and you take the the drops straight, which, I tell people just be ready for the taste because um, minerals is minerals, Um, it will give you a boost. You can feel that, you could like feel yourself wake up from
Yeah.
that. And but we're very happy with the results that we're getting, the different communities that we're tapping into, and we encourage people to research this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Pick up, get on the internet, research, the liquid, um, the liquid source that they're consuming.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily go to H2O. Don't come to us. Definitely check us out if you want to. But we really, encourage folks to read and research the liquid consumption that they're consuming.
Yeah. I did
And
my research with
that is,
you.
huh?
I did my research. I was like looking at it, like, oh wow, 70 minerals and trace,
Yeah.
elements in this thing that's
Hmm.
like it has magnesium, calcium, potassium, everything that our bodies actually need, and it's important for our bodies to replenish. And I think, especially for your athletes that are out there pushing themselves to an extra level. Now
Right.
imagine the everyday person. This would be
Right.
amazing because
Right.
um like I can't wait to see my mom next week. She's coming in town and I'm gonna give her a bottle.
And right. I have your two models, by the way.
I'm like, I'm
but
giving her
but
a bottle. Like, you gotta take this thing.
but we also say the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah,
You can either test the concentrated level, or you can test the diluted level of the 10 drops and a 12 ounce, and test that bottle and see what it has in it, and then come and talk to us. We're completely open,
yeah,
and we're willing to. Education is the best thing. The biggest challenge that we have right now is educating the population, getting them to read more. To and not saying we're just busy. We're just um, a society where we're just chasing the dime consistently. So like, give me the magic pill. No, and all we're saying is, no, dude, slow it down. Just read this for a second before you even take it. Just read it. Read what you're consuming, and then make a decision from there. That in itself will have a huge impact on us going into the next century and into the next decade as far as health. You have your health insurance that are, some of them are geared towards proactive health, where they're trying to curve the health crisis by telling people to eat better, right?
right,
And I always tell people all the time, if you follow the FDA rules of what you're supposed to consume every day, you will be a customer of the healthcare system guaranteed by the time you reach 40. Guaranteed. Because the resources in our food is not there. The resource in our water is gone. The best thing that happened with water is when they came out with alkaline water.
mm,
I don't know how many years ago, 8 years
yeah,
ago.
8 years,
Yeah, when
10
they
now. Yeah,
Yeah. When they came out with alkaline water, is the best thing because alkaline water, now you're shrinking. So imagine uh, a duck,
yeah,
right? A duck can sit in water, and won't, the duck won't soak up the water in its feathers, so it can't fly. So the duck could sit in water, and then when it's ready to take off, it'll take off because the water has not absorbed into the duck's feathers. Now, when you have high acidic water, it's just like you being that duck sitting in water and it's not being absorbed. Even though you're sitting in it, your body's consuming it. It's just passing its way through. The problem is when you have that flat water passing through your system. Remember, water is always in the source, in the process of looking for a source.
right,
And it could either use rock as a source as it goes through its filtration through the earth, or it uses you as a source when it passes through. So you think you're rehydrating when you're drinking this flat water, and you're not, because the water that you're consuming is in a magnetic state, and now it's in your body. Now it's sucking whatever you have. Think about it: your organs, your heart, all those things are very important for you to have proper hydration. Whatever minerals there is being sucked out, and then you're you know giving an exit when you go to the bathroom.
Right.
Um, that in itself should wake folks up and like, wow, we got to correct this. If you want to prolong, excuse me, if you want to prolong your health, my dog is
Here.
yeah. If you want to prolong your health, simply changing the source of your water will give you a chance to live longer.
Yeah.
Simple. So that we're willing to even go down a little bit more granular to let to explain to people how H2O would benefit them. Having the potassium, the magnesium, how it affects the heart, how it affects your blood vessels. We can explain that into detail. All they have to do is be willing to research,
Right.
and you'll find that people will be thanking you as they thank me and my partners and everyone that's a part of this process. But it's a difficult one because we want the magic pill.
Yeah, I
We
know.
want the magic pill, and we look for anything that says, "Here's the magic pill," and it's there's just nothing like that.
You have to work for it.
you got to work for it. It is taking you time to get where you are, and it's going to take you time to get to a place where you want to be. And having the right water source is that ticket, is that boat, is that ship.
I do agree because what you just said about everybody wants magic, but the same thing happens with me and what I do in my line of work. Everybody wants me to like work with them and
Mhm.
heal them through the process. I'm like, you
Mhm.
have to do the work.
Right, right.
I
And,
do.
and 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 I wanted to talk about the active release therapy balls for a second.
Yeah, sure.
I tell you, I have never in my life I've paid. I don't want to even tell you the amount that I've put towards deep tissue massage, and now how many times I've gotten pissed off and got off the table like I said I want a deep tissue. What are you doing? You kind of just rubbing the surface there. But as a former athlete, as a former professional athlete, I have a lot of old injuries just sitting there, and it is a challenge sometimes for me to get up in the morning and just be active. And
Yeah,
I tell you, after using the active release therapy balls, my mornings is just loaded with activity. I get up, I feel relaxed. I can now if I have a little issue, and I had recently had a car accident,
yeah,
um, as you know, and my shoulder froze up because of what happened in the accident. I couldn't straighten my hand out. I couldn't straighten my hand over my head, and after doing an MRI, turns out that I tore a tear in my rotator cuff.
mhm,
But using the active release therapy balls, all the because your body tightens up, to protect it. But the problem is the pain that's associated and the limited of movement that's associated with that creates a problem.
yeah,
So and then so going through the therapy process, it broke up whatever scar tissue was there, and it forced those muscles to release the muscle spasms I was having to release itself. To now, where my arm, I have complete motion. I can move it around with no issues, and I can stretch my arm out and shake somebody's hand, and I'll
yeah.
make them feel it.
And you can go
um,
straight across. Like
yeah, yeah,
when I
exactly.
first had you at, you were like right up here. Now you can go all the way up.
Yep, yep. So that is, I'm telling you, it's the best thing I've come across in a long time. And and the uniqueness of it is the balls themselves. And actually, I have one here, right?
Yeah, you
The
have
balls,
the medium ones.
yeah, yeah. The balls themselves, if you squeeze it, it's not
They're hard,
hard,
but
but it's not soft. It's not hard, but they're not soft.
mhm.
And so what that does is, you know, it doesn't. If like for example, if you were to use a like a golf ball to, you run a risk of maybe bruising yourself, right?
Oh
But
yeah,
but the but the consistency of the soft but hardness of the ball works perfectly well with how your body, would receive like an acute massage
right.
therapy. And I was like, wow, for you to come up with this thing and have the density that it has is unique in itself.
But I gotta
Very
say,
unique.
I gotta thank the football players in general because you guys are
Hmm.
big guys. So technically, I was working with the little ones, these tiny ones.
Right.
And when you guys came along, all the pro players there, you guys are like giants. These things, you guys swallow it. You don't even touch this one unless it's for your neck.
Right.
But you mainly work with these two.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. I
the
have
the idea came with you guys because I'm like when I was working with Lou, I remember he's just this was like way too tiny for him, and I was like,
right.
it was kind of hard for me to like to work with that. And like I said, in one
Hmm.
of my recent, not too long, well, it's been now I think 3 years ago because it was right before COVID. One of my clients also decided to love the idea because I had this
Hmm.
basically. And he decided to like, say, okay, go ahead. He heard me out. He liked the concept too. He loved what it did.
Right.
He says, you know what? How much you need? I gave him a number, and these babies came out then after. Because
Right,
of him,
right.
I had these come through. It made it possible for me to come through. And, there's been baby steps, but slowly but surely, because I have a lot of stuff up here that I need to like put out there.
Right.
But that was one of the things I did. And then it has helped so many people like yourself come out of
Hmm.
injuries, old injuries as well, like you said, because I had another older lady that came to me from Brazil. I
Hmm.
got a call that she had fallen. She came from South Beach, drove all the way up. At the time, I was in Pembroke Pines. Took
Right,
me
right.
3 hours. She had the same an issue where she fell and her arm cannot go past. I wouldn't say the range of motion was very limited, so she couldn't
Mm.
even take her arm all the way up, not even
Mm.
halfway. So I was like, I said, okay. I kept her for 3 hours working, working to the point that when she left my house, she was supposed to go to another doctor. She ended up calling me. She goes, you know what? You are like five people. Like what I see in Brazil, you're like five doctors in one.
In
And
one.
whatever you
Yeah,
did, the
yeah.
magic you did, you took my old injuries away and you took this current one away. And
Right, right.
I had her since then. She every time she flies from Brazil, she books me instantly. So it's
Yeah.
been
The impact has been great because even when I go to my chiropractor to get an adjustment, he's like, you're not adjusting. I was like, yeah, because I've been using the balls. He kind of chuckles like, really? I said, yeah, it's been great, man. And so
but I like you.
definitely.
I like what you said. When the people that come to me and do the work, you have to do the
Mm,
work. Like you
you
said,
have to
you
do
got
work.
the work.
Yeah.
If you don't do the
Mm,
work, the body will go back to where it was before.
yep,
Doing the work,
absolutely.
you notice that you're improving, so you have no need to really go see the doctor so much because now you're slowly healing yourself. You're
Yep,
hydrating the muscles again. We're talking about
yep.
hydration, right? You're hydrating the myofascia, allowing it to
Hmm.
then allow you to take you to the next level, which is then the stretch and the yoga comes in.
Right, right,
You can't
right.
force something that is bundled up in a tight knot. You just can't.
Hmm.
It's like think of it like a dehydrated muscle. So it's like it needs something to move it, and the best thing is for you to do something invasive.
Right.
That's what this is. It's invasive to the muscle. It won't bruise it and hurt it, but you have the control of how much tension you want to add to it. And then with
Hmm.
your breath, the muscle opens up,
Opens up.
relaxes, and allows you to kind of then go deeper in there. And then depending on the density of how deep you want to go, this is like a deep tissue, basically.
Hmm.
This one's a more gentle ones. I call them the gentle giant ones.
That's the one I started with, but
Everyone starts with these. But these are
yeah.
made for the bigger muscles, basically.
Right,
And
right.
so much you can do with them. I have you doing basically the basic, which is back and hips and glutes. But then you can go deeper with them in so many ways, like going into the psoas, going into, there's just different ways of doing it and moving with them that you can actually spend more than an hour getting
Right.
through the whole body.
Here's a perfect combination for you.
Yes, I like it.
That's a perfect combination. You can't get any better than that.
Now you can,
Hydration, hydration after active release.
right?
And when I experienced it, I was like, man, does it make sense? Because I said, now I see why after you go through massage therapy, they give you when as you're walking out, what do? They give you a bottle of
Water.
water because they want you to flush the toxin that was just released after the massage process you went through. But now you have H2O as the hydration component, you know, after going through this thing,
Yeah.
which is this would be great. Um, so the next steps that we'll definitely be open to is, getting people to ask questions about H2O, getting people to ask questions about the balls, and being a source of education. Education is the best form of advertising that I've found. We have completely gotten away from the magic pill and the magic technique. There's no magic technique when it comes to this. You got to learn it. You got to go through it, and then you'll find how it can actually remove all the old injuries that your body's been hanging on to. And educating yourself about H2O and how it replenished the body after years of damage is essential.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is important. I mean, it's important for us to understand and educate like ourselves with our own bodies because everybody's different. Like what really helps, why are we stuck in those situations and why do we put ourselves sometimes in those scenarios, so we gotta like
Right.
down and say, okay, we live in a life that is such a fast
Hmm.
pace.
Hmm.
And it's important for us to take time to really nourish ourselves, like you said, nourish yourself, hydrate, especially because of the
Hmm.
way we are today. It wasn't like when we were raised by our parents where it was a little more lax at that time. Now both families have to work, both, you have a lot of,
Right.
so there's that much more stress going on.
Right.
And add
Right.
the holidays and add the children and add all the other things that come along with it, then of
Right.
course,
Right.
you really have to take more it's important to nourish yourself very much. Eat well,
Hmm.
eat healthy, spend quality time with your family, spend time exercising to to make that body flow move because without that, your brain will shut down too. It's
Yeah.
important to keep your brain
Yeah.
healthy. You want to be old and be having that little spunk in. I want to be 100 years old and still be like spunky.
Exactly. We should be living till we're 100 years old. We should be living 110. But man, the resource of how we're taking care of ourselves, got to get better. The synthetic drugs that are used um, in the medical field, it's only there to manage the illness, is not there to resolve the illness. And whatever the information is, whatever the technology is, the source um, that has to do with longevity of the human body, I'm there. I'm not just jealous or self-centered with H2O, but I know that H2O is going to solve a lot of problem areas for folks once they use it. And I welcome any other product that could help. And that's why I was so attractive to the active release balls and the therapy itself. It's just, um, uh, as a former professional athlete, being in the NFL, all the different organizations I've been a part of, I've never been exposed to something more effective than this. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really effective.
And then I
So,
combine it also with some of the somatic movements as they move along for those that get so used to knowing how to use the balls. Once they know how to use
mm,
it, then I add on somatic movements with it
so
to kind of help, you
right.
know,
So it's not just getting the balls. You got to learn the technique of how to use it on different parts of the body, the
exactly.
back, the shoulder, the neck, the legs, the knee. And so that's where your
I dumb it
intimate.
down now, basically 5 minute videos, and you all have the option. So they're like 5 minute tutorials, 5 to 8 minutes on that. That's it. My top is to keep it simple, especially for those ADD versions. People that are out there that don't want to spend time, or they're too busy, busy bodies. And so I said, let me make it so simple so that way you
Mhm.
understand it's just a particular area in the body. So if it's just the
Right.
shoulder, then we're working on the shoulder. If it's the neck, we're just working on the neck. Sometimes it's neck and shoulder, but I keep it simple. And then I also have them color coded, as you see, so people don't confuse them, which is which. Their size,
Right.
the orange are the large, blue are medium, and the purple are the small. So when I have areas of like the neck, TMJ, shin,
Hmm.
wrist, I pull out the purple ones, and then you won't get confused. And I sell
Right.
them as a set of three because I think it's important for you to understand that they all have a benefit. This one is what I recommend everybody start with, especially first thing in the morning when the body's
Hmm.
tight, first thing you're getting up, or for those that are first timers, this is like easier one to start with. Second,
I'm tight.
this one will challenge you because you felt the difference after I got you onto the blue
Yes,
one, right?
yes, yes. I was like,
You were
oh
so
my
comfortable
gosh.
on the orange ones. What happened when I gave you the blue?
I said, oh my Lord, where am I going?
And
Yeah, I
then
mean,
I was like, let's wait for
no,
the
but seriously, you could feel it go. It's like the orange one, you were like, ah, relief, finally. And then when I used the blue one, it's like, nope, there's something else there. And it went further. I was like, oh my gosh, it was, but once you relax and, allow and breathe through it.
yeah,
Well, and then when I laid on the floor, it's like my whole entire back, my glutes, everything was just flat and stressless.
yes,
It was almost feeling weightless in a pool.
right,
That's the only way I can explain it.
yeah, yeah.
It's having that weightless feeling as if you're in a pool where your body was just completely relaxed.
But I
And
also want people to understand that when there's tension in there in that area, let's take for example the hip, which is very common with a lot of people that have tight hip. They'll find themselves right in that area, the piriformis muscle, right? Where most people can't put that ball there. It's gonna be
right,
intense. And the
right,
moment I have you cross that leg on top of the other knee, what happens? It gets excruciating painful, but
right.
that's how tight your hips are. So if you find yourself sitting there, breathing through it, pacing yourself, and you add the weight that you need to add, that's all up to you.
Mhm.
Just people need to be patient with their body. People want to just think that when we first tied our shoes for the first time, we didn't learn it right away. I would
Right,
tell
right,
everybody, you take time. The body,
right.
you have to acclimate yourself into it and slowly will. And if you do it every day, you will see results. Just like
It,
buying your
it,
shoes
it
for the first time.
for the average person, you take 8 hours of whatever they're doing for 8 hours of the day working. For the average person sitting on their butts at a computer desk, at an office desk,
Or
and
driving
then
all
or
day.
driving a truck, and that's why I love football. I went to the many heights with that, but that's why I love that because it gave me so much freedom. I was not stuck at a desk and making money. Yeah, you had to put a hurting on somebody or somebody put a hurting on you, but that was just a part of the life with that. But um, you know, for people to, now that I've gone to the next stage in my life where I do have to sit behind the desk for 8 hours, I try to sneak this in during my lunch hour.
That's awesome.
I try to sneak it. Instead of going to the gym, I'm in my office. Take my jacket off, everything, and I'm using these guys just to give me that midday release. And I started thinking about the people in my office in the building. I'm like, wow, this could be a
Stocking
potential.
stuffers.
Yeah, yeah,
Stock
yeah,
is the best gift for stocking stuffers for the adults.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I see the amount of people coming in with their coffee every morning, and you only see a trickle amount of folks with their water bottle, because they're going to the gym or they want to. And I was like, they're almost there. They're almost there. We got to connect. And I think with this combination, we can make that connection.
Yeah,
We can make that connection.
I love it.
So for everyone who sees this podcast, whatever, if you got balls, give it a try.
You gotta have balls
You
to
gotta
try
have
this.
balls.
You gotta have
And,
balls.
if they're interested in the H2O, I would like to have them contact you first,
Thank you.
and then they can, come to the site, because we want to manage the flow of, we want to make sure that people are getting the education, and
Yes.
and it's difficult. It's a rough part of the business, um, because I mean we had a few expert that told us, I said, yeah, you guys have a huge task at hand, because you have to educate the population to come in. I said, well, we're open to that, but that's what makes it special.
Right.
We're not telling people H2O, ready to go. No, H2O, check it out. Do your research on it. Do your research on what you're consuming now, and then come and check us out.
Love it.
So yeah. So
I love it. I love it. No, this was awesome, Gary. I enjoyed having you on board and also seeing you heal over these few weeks that I've had you.
hey,
Look at
hey,
you. Look
hey,
at that.
check out.
Look at that arm. That's awesome.
It's awesome. It's
Awesome,
awesome.
awesome. No, I love how you just on time. You're right there. You
Yeah.
carrying, as your wife said, he doesn't leave his balls without him.
No, no, I don't. I don't. Everywhere I go, these suckers are. It's either in my car, either both cars. I have one in one and one in the other,
No,
because
I do
depending
too
on.
because I usually I have scoliosis, so I have a mild
Mm,
version of scoliosis. I'm not that bad, but if I don't do my due diligence with my body, let's say I'm on a trip, I'm away, I gotta say you will see my spine go out. But that's where yoga has come in my life because it's part of my well-being. And
mhm,
um, I don't, you won't ever see me carry anything heavy unless I'm traveling. But for the most part, these babies come with me everywhere. And the small ones, for my size, I carry them in the car. I have
mm.
a pair of old ones in the car. Why? Because I put it in the mid back.
Right.
So the trick for that is that if you have if you're like me or if you're anybody over 40, 50, they don't use their core anymore. We know that, right? We relax
Mhm,
when we're driving.
mhm,
And so what happens is with these in the mid part of your back and pressing them forces your shoulders to go back.
mhm, mhm,
So it
mhm,
keeps your core active the whole time you're driving.
mhm,
Hence
mhm.
taking away what happens after if your core is
Right.
doing this. A lot of people complain of sciatic from driving too much here and there.
Right.
That eliminates sciatic.
And the other part is, as we get older, we begin the hunching, where your neck is coming forward, and you're losing the curvature in the back of your neck.
Oh, we're losing it
And
already with the phones.
yeah, yeah. And so with this, it kind of opens that up and
Hmm.
allow you to gain that proper curve back, and get you to and exactly what has happened to me is where I can, with all the bulging discs that I have in,
From the
from.
accident, yeah.
Yeah. And, getting that inflammation out and allowing my neck to relax, all of a sudden I feel the elongation, almost like I grow an inch.
Yeah,
I've
yeah, you
grown an inch,
freedom.
and
And that's
so.
exactly what it does. It allows your cervical spine, if it's along the neck or your vertebrae, to open up and create that space. And so
Mhm,
it's important. I have a lot of I always these are my main tools is this, the block, and the foam roller. I have those three
right.
things that are like my main thing for creating space and alignment and also elongating the spine from
Mhm,
being
mhm.
compressed from sitting too long or being on the phone too long, where our curves, we're curving. The society is just becoming, even our young children nowadays,
Right.
can't stop looking down. So, or they're carrying those heavy book bags.
Right. Right.
Oh
Right.
my God. That's crazy. It's like my
Yep.
daughter went through it and it broke my
I,
heart. I had to roll and she didn't like it.
oh, my son was complaining about his back. That his back was bothering him a lot, and I picked up his backpack. It
So,
was like almost 50 pounds. I was like, why are you carrying all this stuff? And he's like, no, my teachers want me to have my books and da da da. I said, no way. So the next day he came, he had a roller thing, which they gave him a little problem about, coming into the school with it. And I said, but listen, guys, you're not doing this right. You're creating huge. I said, look at all these kids with these huge backpacks, carrying these huge backpacks. All of these kids are going to have back problems in the next couple of years. Mine is starting to complain about it now. So either you allow the roller to come in, or he learns from school and he'll have to deal with this period. So they allow the roller to come in, and
Yeah, I did the same thing with my
um,
daughter. Same
mhm,
problem. And I was like,
mhm.
I'm not having her with it. And she was like refusing to carry the roller because she's like, but not everybody. I said, you're going with the roller. You're not
Right,
carrying those books like that. It's just thin. These books are heavy, massive. And I was like, no.
massive, massive,
So it's
massive.
important. And I have her also rolling with those things now that she has them as well. It's important
Right.
for kids to do that. And I think it's great for them to learn how to like really properly learn how to work with myofascia because it also helps people with just to get you started before you even get into stretching. I think it's really good with a
See,
kid to learn.
see, we're talking about myofascia. Maybe a lot of people may not know what myofascia is, and we may need to do another
Yeah,
follow up.
let's do
Yeah.
that. We'll educate you
So,
guys in
so
the
we,
next one. How about that?
yeah, so we can dive deep into what is myofascia, you know, the source of H2O, how does it affect the body, and give the scientific connection, if
Hmm.
you will, so people can understand, and give them the source of the education that they would need, so it's not difficult. Because you may have people to see like, yo, I want to try some of that. That's right, but I want that person to have the knowledge behind it,
I love it.
because that in itself is power. Because now that person will have his or her own self intuition to talk about this because it's affected them in a very positive way.
I agree.
So you just create a natural advocate for what you're doing
I love it.
and your why.
All
Yeah.
right, guys, you hear that? We're going on to another podcast with him soon on on basically myofascial release and how important it is also with hydration. We'll continue our hydration within
Yes.
and with Gary. And thank you guys for
Thank
joining us today. I want to let you guys know that if you want to purchase this, I will put a link below. And
you.
also, if
Mhm.
you and Black Friday, for those that right before Black Friday, now until Black Friday, you have a until the end of the night, you will have these babies on sale for 25% off. So they're great stocking stuffer, stocking stuffers
Right.
for your friends. And
And we're going to create a package, if you got balls, a package with H2O for you.
I love
So
it. Deal. That'll be right before we'll do that right before for December. How about that? I
yeah,
love it. So
exactly.
that way you guys have
And,
awesome Christmas
and
hydrating.
so hold on a second, for those guys who like to have the balls on the back of their truck dangling, now you have a reason why.
And you can wear the t-shirt too. I got balls. That'll be the
I
motto.
got
I got
balls.
balls.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, thank you
Oh
guys
my,
for listening. And thank you, Gary, for joining me today. Until our next one,
thank
I
you.
will be staying tuned for our next podcast with
Thank
Gary.
you, Kamala. All right.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Bye bye.